Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Aubrey and I'm so happy to have you here. I hope that you are all doing so well and that if you are experiencing this heat wave like I am, that you are finding some way to stay cool and not absolutely melt because it is so hot outside. Today we are actually going to do a video that I'm really excited about, and that is the mid-year book freakout tag. So I like to watch other people do these videos, and I thought it would be a lot of fun to do it myself and just to go over some of the books that I've read so far this year. So I do kind of want to start just by saying that I've mentioned this in previous videos, but my reading this year has been pretty sparse. Just because life has been a bit hectic and I've had a lot of things going on and dealing with like migraines and all kinds of stuff. So the number of books that I had to actually like choose for some of these prompts wasn't as large as it would normally be, but that's okay. I'm still excited to talk about them with you, so we're just going to go ahead and jump right into the first prompt, and I have them written down here. So the first one is the best book you've read so far this year. So as I said, I don't have like a ton to choose from at this point, but the ones that I have read, there are some that stand out. So the first one is not simply one book, it's several books in a series. I'm just going to hold up the final book because I did finish this series this year and I'm really happy about it. And it is not like the best book insofar as the writing is phenomenal or it is like it's not like it's like a masterpiece. But it's one of my favorite series because I just love the characters so much, and getting to see the conclusion was just amazing. And that is Heaven Official's Blessing, or Tianguan Sifu by Mo Shang Tongshu. So again, I just love this story so much and I love these characters so much, and so just getting to finish it and see the ending of their story, it was just wonderful. And I'm not going to go through like the plots or the synopses for these today. We're just going to talk about why I've put them into these different categories. So that is the first one. And then the next one is A Fragile Enchantment by Alison Saft. So I loved this book. It is such a cute romance story, and I just think the way it was written was so pretty. It read very much like it definitely had fairy tale leanings in it. And I just think that Alison Saft's writing style was just very beautiful and lyrical, and I really enjoyed it. So my mom is actually reading it right now. She's got this in there and she's loving it as well. So I think that this is probably one of the best ones that I've read so far this year, just because, again, purely just enjoyment level, I really liked reading the story, and I think that it did touch on a number of actual like issues dealing with classes and power dynamics, and also romance between a commoner and a royal. So you get into a lot of like the dynamic between like you have a duty to your kingdom, but you also have a duty to yourself and all of that. And I feel like maybe it could have touched on some of the like the class dynamics and things more. But I also feel like that's not necessarily the point of this story so much as just the romances and then bringing that stuff up to show what's going on. I don't know. I just really enjoyed this book a lot. And then the third book that I am putting in this category, I haven't finished yet, so I don't know if technically it should go here, but this is my video and I can do what I want. But I am, how many pages? 140 pages into this, and I am loving it so much. I just started it yesterday, and that is Voyage of the Damned by Frances White. Oh my gosh, I love this book so much so far. I think our main character Dee is really snarky. Now it does sometimes use some like turns of phrase and language that I just feel is unnecessary personally, but that's just me. But I really like Dee. I think that he is very snarky, but he is also genuinely a good person underneath. And the murder mystery in here, we're just really getting into trying to solve it. It's quite a long book, so I have a bit of a ways to go. And I think that what really has gotten me so far is, number one, it's just really well done. I can tell that the author is both a big fan of murder mysteries and fantasy, but also I really was not expecting the emotional gut punch that I've gotten so far with the murders. I mean, whew, I'm really hoping that there's some resolution, and I'm also really sad about the second character who died. I'm quite upset over it, but I feel like these characters are just, there's like a lot of intrigue here, you know, some of these characters are very suspicious and we don't really know a lot about them, and I just think I'm just really excited to see where this goes. So I'm putting it tentatively in the best books of the year so far until I finish it and see. But if it continues along the same vein that it has at this point, I really think it's gonna stay in my top books of the year. Then the second prompt is the best sequel you've read so far this year. So again, I have to pop this one up just because, once again, I'm not, like, this is on a purely just personal enjoyment level. I just love these characters so much, and I really like to read about them. And honestly, MXTX could write 10 more books in this series just about Hua Chong and Xilian and all of the others just living their lives, and I would just continue to read it. And it was just so good, and the ending was so satisfying. I love it so much. And then I have to put a manga on here because this is my favorite manga series of all time, and I did read the two most recent English releases this year, and that is The Heroic Legend of Arslan. This is based on a novel series by Yoshiki Tanaka and is being adapted into a manga by Hiromu Arakawa. I love this series so much. It continues to just be an absolute delight. It is extremely violent, and there are some really heartbreaking moments in this series, but I just feel like the story is so well done. And yes, we do follow a protagonist who is just the epitome of perfection. Prince Arslan is adorable and kind and good and sweet, and I know that that might bother some people, but I love him so much, and the loyalty he inspires in his friends and his people is just so heartwarming to see. And I just continue to love every single new volume. And now we're seeing more of Etoile or Estelle. We're seeing more of Merlane, who I actually really like. I wasn't sure about him at first. And we are clearly leading up to a big confrontation. So I just continue to love these as we go. I do wish there had been more of Arslan and the gang in volume 17 and 18, because the story really wasn't focused on them so much at that point. But we have now gotten back to them, and with this big confrontation that's about to happen, I really think we're going to stick with them for a while, and I'm very excited for the next volume of this whenever it comes out. I think it comes out this year. 19 and maybe 20 is also coming out this year, so that's very exciting. Alright, so the next prompt is new release you haven't read yet but want to. So, for it to count as a new release, in my mind, I'm saying it needs to have come out this year. So I have two. I have narrowed it down to two because I was trying to think. I also sometimes get special editions of books, and I'm not going to count those as new releases, even though for me they are, because I was waiting on them to come out. But I have narrowed it down to two, so we're going to talk about those very quickly. And I'm only narrowing it down to books that I actually own. So if I don't own the new release yet, I am not going to count it for this category because there would be way, way, way too many to put here. So the first one is Dragon Rider by Taran Matharu. This is the first book in the Soulbound Saga, I think it is. Something like that. I think it's the Soulbound Saga. I wish they had the name on the cover. That would be really helpful. But I love dragons. I love Dragon Rider fantasy, and this one just sounds so fun to me. I also really enjoy like underdog stories and someone who is not supposed to be a hero by, you know, anyone else's standards rising up and becoming one, and I feel like that's what we're going to get from this. I'm not sure, but I'm just really excited to read it. I love a good dragon book, and I've been kind of amassing a collection of dragon books that are either new or that I haven't read yet. and I'm very excited to get into them, and this is one of those. And then the other book that I'm going to put into this category is Where the Dark Stands Still by A.B. Poranek. I just think that this sounds so fun. It really kind of sounds like a darker fairy tale to me, but I'm also going to admit part of my excitement for this is influenced by the cover, because it is just absolutely beautiful. Look at that. Oh, it's so pretty. But I've also seen some people that I follow on Instagram really like this book, including an artist I follow who has been drawing fan art of the characters, and that has just really amped up my excitement to try this and to see who these characters are, why this person loves them so much. I'm just very excited. I also think this guy, Arlezi, is going to be a bit misunderstood, which I think I also enjoy in books, when we have a character who everyone else is scared of and then we find out they're actually not so bad, or at least not so bad as people seem to think that they are, even if they are terrifying. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I'm really, really excited to try this one. I do think I'm going to read it probably in August is my plan. So yeah, I'm very excited to read it. So the next prompt is most anticipated release or releases for the second half of the year. And again, I have a caveat for myself, just to, like, a condition to meet. It has to be a book that I've ordered. Because again, if I just went through every new release that was coming out that I'm excited for, we'd be here forever. So I am only counting books that I have actually already pre-ordered at this point in time. Okay, so the first one we're going to talk about is Graveyard Shift by M.L. Rio. If We Were Villains is one of my favorite books. I actually read it, was it when I went to Wyoming on the plane? I think I started reading it on the plane on the way to Wyoming, or maybe on the way back. And I loved it. It is so good. I'm not going to talk about it because that's not the point of this, but she has a new book coming out, Graveyard Shift. And it sounds like it is going to follow a couple of different characters. There's something about like graves being dug or finding bodies. I'm not really sure. I just saw M.L. Rio's name, creepy title, a creepy cover, and I got really excited. I immediately pre-ordered it. So I'm really, really excited for that one to come out, and I plan on reading it this fall. I'm so excited. And then the next one that I'm super excited about is Somewhere Beyond the Sea by T.J. Klune. This is the sequel to The House in the Cerulean Sea, which is another one of my favorite books. And I literally squealed out loud when I saw the announcement for this, immediately pre-ordered it. Also pre-ordered the hardcover printing that they're doing of The House in the Cerulean Sea with sprayed edges so that they will match, even though I already have a really nice paperback copy of The House in the Cerulean Sea. It's okay. But I'm so excited. The House in the Cerulean Sea is like a warm hug and a cup of tea. And it also, I love its commentary on acceptance and what it means, like, to be different, and to the way that people tend to view differences and treat those who are different. I really enjoyed that. And also, of course, the found family gets me, because that's one of my favorite things to see in books. So I'm so excited for the sequel. I really just have been, like, I pre-ordered it as soon as it was up for pre-order, and I've just been waiting semi-patiently for it to come out and to get sent to me. So that is the second one that I am most excited about. And then the next one is maybe gonna sound a little strange. I've heard no one talk about this, but Books A Million recommended it to me when I was placing an order, and I was like, huh, this sounds intriguing. And I mentioned earlier how much I love dragon books, and this is one. It's called The Last Dragon on Mars. It's the first book in a series called The Dragon Ships, and so it's dragons in space. So we have sci-fi and dragon fantasy, and it's something along the lines of like dragons there's like a dragon for each planet or multiple dragons for each planet, and people are kind of like killing them off by terraforming or like what they're doing to the planet, that sort of thing, like just the environmental impact that they're having, something along those lines. I don't know. I'm really hoping for environmental commentary, for like eco-fantasy, eco-sci-fi, but also dragons and dragon riding. I'm so excited. I don't know. I really hope it'll be good. I really hope I enjoy it. Then I have another book that deals with dragons, but in a very different way, and that is The Last Dragon of the East. This is, I think, a romance book. It has got some, I think it's Chinese mythology. I could be wrong, so don't quote me on that, but I think it has like some Chinese mythology, Chinese inspired setting in this book, which I am a sucker for, if you haven't figured that out yet. And it's going to be a romance. There's going to be something about an all-powerful mythological dragon person. I don't know. I just think it looks really cute, and I pre-ordered it, so it gets to go on this list. Then I have one that I actually just read the first book in the series, and that is Guardian or Genhuin by Priest. I just finished the first book recently, and I actually really enjoyed it. It is a Danmei light novel, and the second book is already out and I have ordered it, but the third book is coming out, I think it's in August. So it's just a trilogy. There are only 3 books, and I really enjoyed it. I really liked the characters, so I did order the special edition of book 3 that comes with all the extra goodies. And I'm just really excited because the way that book 1 ended, because it's only 3 books, it's not super drawn out, which I like, as far as the romance and revealing secrets and all of that. And I had already pretty much figured out what was going on earlier, but that doesn't upset me. I like it when I'm right, actually. And so I'm really excited to see how this story is going to wrap up with all these characters, especially the main 2. And so I do think that even though book 2 is already out and will arrive way before book 3, I'm just going to wait and read them together. But I am really excited for that one to come out, just because I want to see the conclusion. I want to see the ending, and I want to see who the bad guy is, because that's one thing I haven't figured out yet. Then I have a graphic novel, which okay, so one of my favorite podcasts ever is The Adventure Zone with the McElroys. And they are producing a graphic novel adaptation of, oh no, of the like first storyline that they do. What is it called? Balance. Yes. So they are creating a graphic novel adaptation of Balance, which is like their first campaign that they did together. And the newest volume comes out next month in July. So that would be The Adventure Zone, The Suffering Game, which we're getting very close to the end. This particular arc is very close to the ending of the entire story, and I love it so much. I love these graphic novels. I literally, for the last, like, how many are out? 4? 5. For the last 5 years, I've dropped everything and read the new one as soon as I got it. So that's probably what I'm going to do this year as well. And then I have 2 manga series. So the first one is, of course, The Heroic Legend of Arslan. Volumes 19 and 20 are coming out this year. I did double check. And I'm just so excited to keep going. I don't know how long the series is going to be. I feel like where we are now, we're really getting into like the 4, I suppose, sort of factions. Or should I count 5? Because I feel like the priest should be his own. Yeah, so 5 factions where they're really starting to come together, and then also this like looming threat that's in the background. I don't know how that's gonna come into play, but I'm just really excited to see where this is going. I really hope that King Andragoras gets what's coming to him, and that's all I'm gonna say because I don't want to spoil anything, but I mean, you kind of hate him from the first volume, so, or at least I did. So I don't feel like that's a spoiler. But yes, volumes 19 and 20 are coming out. I think I'm going to do the same thing I did with 17 and 18 and wait till I have both of them before I read them. Just because I feel like with manga, it's sometimes much more enjoyable to read multiple volumes together, because they can be so short and so quick to get through. So you feel like you're getting a bit more when you have like a couple to read back to back. And then the last one for this category is another manga series, and that is A Gentle Noble's Vacation Recommendation, which is a series that I read last year. Volumes 8 and 9 are coming out this year, and I'm so excited. It's just really silly and just an overpowered isekai with, you know, some found family, and I just really like it. It's very episodic. It's not, like, again, a masterpiece like Arslan is, but I really enjoy it, and it just makes me feel happy to read it. And I just really like the characters, and so I'm just excited for those two to come out. And again, I think I'm gonna just wait till I have both of them and then read them back to back. So the next prompt is your biggest disappointment of the year so far. And unfortunately, that is going to have to be volume 1 of The House Witch by Delimhawk. I liked it. I like the characters. Like, there weren't any books that I've read so far this year that I disliked, so I don't want you to think that this is a bad book. I just was a little disappointed in the writing style and the way that the story is presented, the way the characters are developed. I did really like the story. It is very cozy. I really like the emphasis that it puts on food and homemaking. That's very sweet. But I feel like sometimes the way the characters behave isn't necessarily realistic. It reads in some ways like reading a fan fiction, which is not, again, necessarily a bad thing. I like reading fan fiction. But I do feel like, just to me personally, the writing style didn't click with me that well. I am going to continue the series because I didn't dislike it. It just was probably the book that was the biggest disappointment for me because I anticipated loving it. And I didn't absolutely love it, if that makes sense. But I am going to continue it. I do actually have the second book, which you'll be seeing in this month's book haul next week. So I am going to continue it. But I just feel like the writing style really just wasn't as polished and realistic as I would have liked it to be. I hope that makes sense. And then the next prompt is your biggest surprise. So we have a repeat. That is going to be A Fragile Enchantment by Alison Saft. I expected to like this, but I didn't expect it to like it as much as I did. Like I said, I just really enjoyed it. I think that I really relate to our main character. I'm gonna try to say her name. Neve? I really relate to a lot of the anxieties that she feels, and then even the stuff that I didn't relate to, I could see where she was coming from. And I think that one of the things I enjoyed most about this book, which I didn't mention earlier, is, I kind of touched on it, but just this idea of people trying to find their worth and like, how do they find that? Feeling like they have to accomplish a certain thing, or that they have to do things to be worthy. Or when they're put in a position, whether it's within their family or like our prince, Kit, you know, as a royal who is part of the ruling family of an entire kingdom, how do you balance what you want and what others expect of you? I guess I just really, really like that in the way that this book talked about that. And I don't know, I just really enjoyed it. I expected to enjoy it, but I didn't expect to love it as much as I did. Next we have new favorite author, and I do think I'm going to say both Frances White and Alison Saft, because I've just really enjoyed, I really loved A Fragile Enchantment. I'm really enjoying Voyage of the Damned, and I know that that's Frances White's first published work, so I'm really excited for whatever they decide to put out next. And then if I also potentially want to include like a graphic novel author slash artist, I would say Crimson Chains, who is the creator behind Starcrossed, which was originally published, I think, as a webtoon. I just really like it. I think that it's really cute, and I really like the way that Crimson Chains draws the characters and the backgrounds, and sometimes there are some inconsistencies in the art occasionally, but I just really like their character design, and I think that their world is really cute, and I really like it. So I don't know, I feel like I should at least mention them. Then we have newest fictional crush. Okay, so gosh, I don't know, because I mean, Shilian and Hua Chong both, but like I already knew of them before this year, because I saw season 1 of the Donghua before I ever started reading the novels, and I read the first novel last year. So I don't know if I should count them. And I can't say Darien because I've been reading The Heroic Legend of Arslan since last year too. I might have to say, I don't know if I would really say I have a crush on them, but I do really like Polaris and Gildan from Starcrossed. I just think they're both very sweet and I like them a lot, but I don't know if I would put them in this category. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to answer this one right now, which is odd because I do get attached to fictional characters very easily, but I don't know. Maybe I'll come back to this question at the end of the year. Okay, next is newest favorite character. So again, I can't include my loves, my favorites from series that I didn't start this year. I will say I really like D, Ganymedes, in Voyage of the Damned. I really like him a lot. Grasshopper is also cute. She is adorable and precious. Polaris and Gildan I also love. Neve from A Fragile Enchantment. Oh, I have another one who I absolutely adore. Aiden from the Two Dragon Festival. I love Aiden so much. He is precious and wonderful. I might also say Lau from Black Butler, because I did start reading the manga this year, and even though I have watched the anime in the past, Lau's character was not nearly as fleshed out in the anime as he is getting in the manga, and I mean, not that he's been super fleshed out, like, by any means, but I just feel like we can see his personality a lot more in the manga, and I really like Lau. I do. I really like him. But yeah, I guess that answers that, maybe. Okay, number 10 is book that made you cry. So, Have an Official's Blessing, Volume 8, really got me, especially the transition between the main story and the extras. The ending of the main story just, really got me emotional. I just love these characters so much, but they really hit me right where it hurts. Voyage of the Damned. I can't say that I actually like full on cried, but it really hurt. Especially that second character. Whew, man. And we're still in the pain where I am right now. So I would say that one, like I said, just unexpected emotional gut punch. And as soon as that scene starts with finding that body, you know who it's gonna be. And it's like, you're sitting there going, no, no. So I do have to put this one in this, for this prompt. Okay, book that made you happy. Again, made me cry, but the series also just makes me smile just because these characters are so wonderful, and I love Shelian. He is a precious, precious, precious person, and I just enjoy reading about them. It just makes me happy to see them, to read about them. It just does. I don't really have any more explanation for it than that. Another book that really made me happy would be The Tea Dragon Festival by Kay O'Neill, or Katie O'Neill. This is the sequel to The Tea Dragon Society. There is a third book in the series, but I don't own it at this point because unfortunately these are rather oversized hardcover, full color graphic novels, and they are quite expensive for how short they are. But I really enjoyed this. Just like with the first book, it's just very heartwarming. You really just, it's just cozy and sweet and enjoyable. And so just reading it, even the art style just makes me happy because it's so cute. Let me just... So... like, it's just so sweet. And the way that she draws the characters, they all look so soft, and nobody is problematic in this book. It's just delightful, honestly. And then Arslan makes me happy. It just does. I just love the series. Even when it makes me sad, I'm still enjoying reading it, so. And I love the characters so much. I feel like a broken record every time I talk about this, but you know what? That's okay. Number 12 is Most Beautiful Book You've Bought or Received So Far This Year. So this one was difficult, and I have a few contenders that we're gonna look at. So this video is really just about to turn into me showing you special editions that I'm really excited about. The first one is A Fragile Enchantment, because the redesigned cover just really fits that fairy tale aesthetic. I just think it is so pretty. It's got the pink sprayed edges, the green ribbon bookmark. Then, when we take off the dust jacket, I mean, it's just so pretty, and it just really evokes the idea of spring, in my opinion. And then the art on the back of the dust jacket is some of my favorite. This scene is so sweet in the book. And then we have art on the end papers, because of course we do. So there's the front and the back, and it really ties into the whole like sewing and stitching and clothes design that our main character Neith is involved in, and then the flowers, which represent Kit. It's just so beautiful. And then we have a broken binding edition because we have to. And that's going to be The Fall, which is the second book in The Bound and the Broken by Ryan Cahill, or is it Cahill? And this edition did come with a slipcase, so it's a bit of a tight fit. I have to kind of work it out of there. But there it is. So pretty. We have silver gilded edges, and then the naked hardback. Look at that. I think that this is done by Katrina Paints. She is just immensely talented. And then we have art on the end papers. This book is beautiful in a very different way from A Fragile Enchantment, but it really, really deserves to be on this list. And then I am just gonna hold up the first book, but the Percy Jackson and the Olympians set that I got from the Bookish Box and Shop, so pretty. They are like naked hardcovers with all of this foiling, and there are different images on each book and a different quote to represent what's going on in that story. We have sprayed edges, and then the image from the sprayed edges in full on the end papers. And I just think the overall design is just so pretty. I Like I said, I'm not going to hold up all 5 books, but I just think that the way they represent the story on the covers and the way that these look, like with the little metal corners, I don't know, they just kind of give the impression that they are quite old classic books, even though they're not. And then having just the pretty art, they're very well done, very well done. And then the last book that I'm putting for this question is, I mean, picking out the most beautiful books I've gotten this year was difficult because really special editions are just stepping up their game. And then also I was tempted to pick just like normal editions of books and just the beautiful cover art on them, but I was like, no, I need to take a little bit of a step back and just look at the overall design and all of that. So I did only pick 4 for this question, but I could have picked a lot more. But the last one is The Silver Blood Promise, the first book in The Last Legacy by James Logan. Again, this is from the Broken Binding. And this one does have the original cover art, which is just gorgeous. I mean, the amount of detail, I don't know how much you can see on the camera, but all the tiny people and the buildings, it's so beautiful. And then we have our sprayed edges. And then more gorgeous art on the naked hardback. Once again, the amount of detail is astounding. It's so beautiful. So beautiful. We have our end paper art. I'm really excited to read this book and find out what is going on there. Why do we have a dragon? And then we've got some catacombs on the back end papers. This book honestly reminds me of Italy. Just like as soon as I saw the catacombs, I was like, oh. And the big buildings. I mean, obviously, like, it's not Italy, and it's very fantasy, like a very fantastical setting. But it just reminded me of Italy, which I want to go back to Italy so bad. And I'm really hoping that this book gives me some Italian Assassin's Creed vibes. That's my hope. I have no idea if I'm gonna get that, but I guess we'll find out. But yeah, I just think it's beautiful. All of the artwork is just like jaw-droppingly gorgeous. And finally, the last prompt is books you need to read by the end of the year. So I'm just gonna mention 2, just that I am definitely planning to read this year, or to continue this year. You'll understand what I mean in a moment. But I also will link below the videos that I've done for like my 2024 priority TBR and my seasonal TBRs for spring and summer, because those are the books that I am most leaning towards reading this year for the most part. And so I don't want to sit here and keep you for forever. So we're just going to go over 2 others that are not on that list, but that I am very excited to read. Actually, the first one may be on one of those lists, I'm not sure, but I'm definitely going to continue Black Butler this year. This is volume 11, which is where I am. I have read the first 10, and I would like to catch up. So volume 33 just recently came out. I think volume 34 is up for pre-order. I think I've pre-ordered it. I have a list so that I don't get confused, because I have a hard time remembering sometimes, especially with volume numbers. But I do want to get up to date with this series before next year. So that is definitely one that I'm going to be continuing. And then I really, really want to read The Dandelion Dynasty by Ken Liu. So this is the first book, The Grace of Kings. I do own all 4, and I am just really excited to read this. I kind of want to just read all 4 of them together, because I do tend to enjoy reading series that way, but it's quite, for being only 4 books, this is quite a long series, page count wise. But I really think I'm going to enjoy it, and I do really want to read this series this year. Okay, so that is my mid-year book tag. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this. I would love to hear your answers to any of these prompts, any books you're excited for or that you've gotten recently that you think are beautiful or that you have read recently or read this year that you loved or maybe didn't love so much, which don't really want to, you know, I'm not wishing that upon anyone, but hopefully just books that you've loved. And anything that you're excited to read going forward or new releases you're excited for, I would love to hear about it in the comments. Or if you've read any of these and you want to share your thoughts, again, I've said this in other videos, but please keep them please keep them spoiler free. But I would love to hear, you know, if you just want to be excited about any of these, I'd love to see your excitement below. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you're having a wonderful day or a wonderful night wherever you are. Again, if you're experiencing this heat wave, I'm so sorry. Hopefully you are still finding ways to enjoy your summer despite the intense heat outside and the humidity. I'm in the South, so the humidity is making the heat index just rise immensely. But again, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye! What are you doing? Are you laying with brother? Huh? Good boys. Oh.